Do you ever want to dive deeper into the Bible, but you just don't know where to begin or struggle to feel like you even have the time? When you read the Bible, do you get frustrated because you know there is so much more in there? You just have no clue how to get it out. Or maybe you just want to know the Bible better and you're looking for any resource to help. Well, then this is the podcast for you. Welcome to the Context and Color of the Bible podcast. We are two sisters. I'm Erika.
And I'm Veronica.
We love to study the Bible and help others understand it better. When it comes to our own study of Scripture, we have found that in bringing back the context of Scripture, it adds so much to our understanding. It actually adds color to the black and white pages of the text.
So we're here. It's my turn to teach again.
Woohoo!
We had Erika in the spring with
Judges.
Thank you. I wanted to say Joshua.
So long ago.
No, and we had Brian Van, and now we are diving into Deuteronomy. Originally, Erika, when I came to, I said I was going to do Numbers, but then, and I was reading through my commentaries, but then Jerusalem University College,
great school, by the way. Just got to point that out.
Erika's alma mater, JUC, offered a 6-week class this summer on Deuteronomy with Dr. Cindy Parker. And it was like, well, maybe I should do Deuteronomy because it was just the time. I have the books for Deuteronomy. And I was like, you know what? This must be the time to do Deuteronomy. Truthfully, if I was going to tell anyone, I would say you start with Genesis, then you read Exodus, then you read Leviticus, then you read Numbers, and then you do Deuteronomy.
Right. That's all right. We'll get back. We'll get Numbers.
We'll get there eventually. Eric will teach again. I'll teach again. And Numbers will be up probably in the spring or fall. So, but with that, we are jumping into Deuteronomy, and I want to set the stage for you, Er. Let's pretend you are at the end of your life. You are surrounded by all your loved ones, and I'm not just talking like immediate family. I'm talking about everybody. Let's pretend you've been part of this humongous group for 40 years working towards this amazing project. And they're all gathering around you. We know death is near. We're not sure exactly. You've got your mind together still. But you're looking at all these people. And when you look at them, you don't just see their faces. You see their stories. You see their mistakes, their failures. But you see the good times and the bad times you've had with them. And you see their potential. You go, this project we're working towards, I see how each of you is important and invested. And I see what it can be. And so as you're looking at these people and you go, it's 40 years we've been together doing this, you realize you know them, you know potential problems. I mean, even when you look at them, you go, oh, those two are going to struggle. I know. I've been there working with them through this. I know this could potentially still be an issue in the future. But you know, if they can stay united, if they can stay focused, this project is going to be amazing, like world-changing, mind-blowing. But you also realize as you're looking at this project and you're about to enter into almost the execution of the project.
Like phase 2, would you say?
Kind
phase
of.
3?
Like we've been in the planning and the research and the developing, and now it's time to put this plan into action.
And I have to leave just as we're there.
I know.
Horrible.
But you knew that was coming too.
Right.
But you realize your project, it's so big. You're not going to house it in just one building. You're not going to even house it all in one city. It is so massive. It is going to cover miles, like 80 miles. And it's going to be, people are going to be in different places forever. You go here, I go here. And this is a time you don't get the benefit of technology. You don't get FaceTime, Zoom, internet. You don't even really get snail mail that's consistent.
Right.
How do you keep them united? How do you keep them all focused on this project? Going, for this project to succeed, we have to work together. We have to have each other's backs. And it's going to be very easy to feel isolated and independent. And just start thinking, just my area right here is all I need to worry about. I don't need to worry about anyone else. So what do you say to these people?
I don't even know where I'd begin.
I know. I mean, you can have as long as you want.
Right.
You don't have to sum it all up in 5 words or 5 minutes.
Yeah, I guess I'd be like, take a seat. Like, we have to talk through some things because that's a lot of pressure. I can't even fathom what I would say at that moment.
I mean, you look at this group and you go, I know the potential. I know they've got it.
If you can work together, if you can stay united, if you can be obedient, this will be amazing. But I also know you struggle.
Yeah, because we've been struggling for 40 years. And sometimes we're having the same struggles.
Yeah.
It's not like every struggle that's come up has been, oh, this is a new one.
I'd be tempted, I think, to like be like, get over it. Like be a little harsh, I think. But out of desperation.
Right.
Like
there is a desperation, I think.
I think you said this when you were telling me about this earlier, like wanting to take some of them by the shoulders and like, are you listening to me? Like,
and you're going to get that feeling, I think, as you read through Deuteronomy.
Okay.
But that's essentially what Moses is doing right now. This is where Moses is. And as he's looking at, he goes, okay, and if we're not going to turn there yet, but verse 1 says he's outside the land. They haven't crossed over yet because Moses, we all know, you should know, can't cross over into the land. He's got his own things.
Poor Moses.
But you also go, but he's led them this far. And it's almost in a way that parent handing over the child going, okay, move out. It's time to be independent. You don't need me.
I'd be like, no, I do. Moses, don't leave.
I know. I do wonder if there were people like,
like I would, Moses.
Right.
God, can you give us another 40 years?
Right. So Moses is going to send them into the land. And this is where it's so nice having Erika have her master's degree from JUC, having lived in Israel, because what I didn't realize when I studied this with JUC and Dr. Parker, it's like, oh, the land is really key.
Yes.
From my perspective, you read the Bible and it mentions cities, it mentions locations, people groups, the Moabites, the Amorites, whoever. What I didn't realize is how much the land influences their lifestyle. Because what I can tell you, just because of my JUC class, and Erika's going to expound on this, is, you have the greenery of Jericho because there's springs there. But then you go to the barrenness of the hills of Judea where the shepherding happens. And so when you have people, barren land where I'm struggling to survive, has different issues and lifestyles than the people who live in that green, lush, fertile land because it has water. It has the plants that just grow more easily there. So I'm going to have Erika give us a kind of an overview of Israel, geography-wise.
I guess, oh boy. So I think one thing that has stuck with me from JUC is when it comes to rainfall, an easy way to remember this is the higher in elevation you are, the more rain you're going to get. So if you're up on a mountain as opposed to a valley, the farther north you are. So like Galilee is in the north, then you have like the Samaria area in the middle, and then you have Judah in the south. Those are three separate types of land and lifestyles. Galilee is going to get the most rain. Samaria is going to get so much rain. Judah barely gets any rain.
So based on that, Galilee would be a little easier lifestyle?
Yes, that's the farming place. Beautiful vines, beautiful trees, figs, dates. And then the farther west you are, the closer to the Mediterranean. So, I can't remember, there's a mountain range, the Rift Valley, but what's the range? But on the west side of the mountain, it's green. On the east side is desert. It's amazing. You just walk a few feet.
Jordan Valley?
Yes. You turn west, you're facing the Mediterranean and it's beautiful green. You turn your back and you turn east and you're facing desert. And so that influences how you live, because if you're getting more rainfall, you're not too worried about rain. But if you're in the south, well, then water's precious and every drop of water matters. And it also influences your lifestyle. You're more likely to be a shepherd because of the kind of plants that are able to grow there would be what feeds sheep and goats as opposed to farming would be so difficult in the South.
So in your farming, then you're more market merchants, a lot more prosperous, more people coming there, living there.
But you need the shepherds because you need their milk,
Right.
their wool. But you need each other. You learn how to appreciate each other. But I think definitely more bigger cities in the north because it's easier. But like even in the hill countries, as opposed to living on the plains, if you're living close to a big highway, you're much more city-like and urbanized than the people living in the hill country. They're kind of like Kentucky.
Erika just wiped out a whole state of listeners.
We know a guy from Kentucky, and he's constantly bashing himself in Kentucky. So that was the first thing that came to mind.
Thank you, Steve Stidham.
Yes, I'm so sorry, people from Kentucky. But like back hills. Think of the rednecks.
The hillbillies.
Beverly
Hillbillies?
Yes, the Beverly Hillbillies. So if you're in the mountains, most people aren't traveling up to you. And they're not like huge mountains. They're like hills. But if you're in the plains where the big traffic is coming and going, you're more likely to know.
Your major trade routes.
Yes. You've got more urbanized lifestyle than the people off the major trade routes.
So in that we've got differences in rain.
Yeah.
Which causes differences in living.
Yes.
Which causes, different, even that probably draws your trade routes. Your trade routes are going to stay closer to water.
Yeah, and easier land to travel through.
So that's going to all change how those people develop. Because Moses is sending them in completely new and fresh. They've had 40 years of wandering and okay, now we're going to settle down. They're going from wandering to homesteading. Well, how you homestead in one area in the north is going to look different than how you homestead in the south. And over time, you forget you're a united group and you start to go, well, I've got issues. My life is hard down here. Your life is easy. But then I'm sure up in the north, it's like, well, you're picking the harder life, or you're having just differences in how we interact, how we talk, how we live life.
It makes me think of that old movie, Oklahoma. Remember that musical?
I hate that musical.
I love that musical. But it was like the farmers and the cowboys. And they didn't like each other, but because they were fighting over the same land, and they had two very different lifestyles, but they could all come together for a night of party and fun. And it just... even in our own history, we see that. And probably even today in the United States, if you're in the South versus if you're in the North versus if you're in the West or the East Coast, every group has its own flavor and lifestyle. And sometimes you forget, people on the East are connected to the people on the West, even though they live differently.
And so that's what Moses is looking at as he looks. And as we go through more, each chapter will bring out different cities, and I'll have Erika maybe help us figure out roughly, let me say this, get a map. As you read Deuteronomy, you should have a map and should be looking and going, where are these different cities? Because I'll get into this. We didn't talk about it earlier, but we talked about it yesterday on the phone. What I didn't realize until taking my JUC class, which let me just say, if they do their summer series again, you all should sign up. There was 5 different classes. I wish I would have taken all 5. It was a little too expensive for my budget at that time, one day. But I didn't realize Jerusalem was not the first capital.
That blows my mind that you didn't know that.
No, why? Because it's not your fault. But you always just hear Jerusalem's the capital.
Right.
Well, but they haven't even taken Jerusalem yet. And so you go, okay, during the time of Moses and the wandering, they didn't really have a temple or a capital. The tabernacle just wandered with them, which I knew that. But then you go, as they go into the land, where do they pick their capital? Where do they eventually set up the tabernacle and say, okay, come here? And then Jerusalem, I learned this from Erika yesterday on the phone, Jerusalem doesn't become the capital until David sets it up. And you go, okay, so, you got to go through the book of Joshua, Judges, throw Ruth in there, 1st and 2nd Samuel.
It's during Samuel.
Yeah, it would be 2nd Samuel because that's more David's
that's more his
time.
reign, yeah.
So you go, all those books in the Bible, and they don't have Jerusalem as the center place. And so what's fascinating as you read through Deuteronomy, God never says, when you get to Jerusalem, here's what you're going to do. God just says, when you get to the place where I choose to put my name. And in a way you go, you know what? So then it's not necessarily, I mean, there's a lot of benefits to Jerusalem and why David picked that.
Yes. Yeah.
But on the other hand, you go, but it's also just God goes, I'll put my name somewhere. You let me work out the details. You just know when I pick the spot, here's what you're supposed to do.
And he did pick Jerusalem after David picked it and Solomon built the temple like that. That's where his name belongs.
Right. So
that is
why let's get into that real quick, as we're kind of setting just the stage for Deuteronomy. Why did David eventually pick Jerusalem?
So if you're from America, my first question would be, why is Washington, D.C. the District of Columbia and not part of a state?
Or did you realize that?
Did you? I didn't realize that till JUC. Truth be told, that is when it all made sense to me. So yes, I was in my 20s before I realized this. The capital of America is not part of any state, because if it was, that one state could then have undue influence on the capital and get benefits from the capital.
Bragging rights.
Right, pretty much. And so when David, he was a very shrewd politician. He really
Lousy
was. Lousy father, a man after God's own heart. But I think being king, you probably are just going to be a lousy father for the most part. But he knew when he united to bring the nation together, he needed a city that didn't belong to anybody. And so it was Jerusalem was in the territory of either Benjamin or Judah. I can't remember because Benjamin kind of gets swallowed up by Judah. But at that time, it didn't belong to the Jewish people. The Jebusites, I think, were in it and in control of it. So technically, it was foreign land. And so David grabbed it and made it his city. And now he can go see, I've taken this city that no tribe can claim, and this is the capital of our united nation. And so every tribe could have a part of Jerusalem. No one tribe could say, we gave that to David. He owes us because it's our city. Like, nope, this was non-Israel city, and now it belongs to all of us. So it was very smart of David to do that. And then once David did that, he united, and then he brought the ark there. So he united the religious capital with the political capital, and God gave his stamp of approval.
But with that, and then God never removed that stamp of approval.
Nope.
Jerusalem is still the capital
Yes.
of God's kingdom.
Yes.
But with that, you just go, as you read through, you won't see Jerusalem mentioned then.
Right, because this is before.
That would be like Moses having divine prophecy of, hey, you're going to eventually, in like 4 books, own this piece of property, and that's going to be the capital. So Moses will never refer to it as Jerusalem. And with that, Moses will never actually call Mount Sinai. He always calls it Horeb.
Which is interesting. Do you know why?
Nope.
He calls it Horeb? Because I was thinking Malachi ends with calling it Horeb.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
The last prophet calls it Horeb too. There's got to be a name. There's got to be a reason for that name. But I'm throwing that at you, so I'm totally sorry.
Go look. But so with that, you go, this is Moses right now. This is everything Moses has going on in his head.
That's a lot.
It is a lot. It is a lot. And truthfully, it's probably been building as they're getting closer to the end of the 40 years, going, okay. And Moses knowing he's not going in. My time's coming. I'm leaving them.
I wonder if he was ready. Like after 40 years, he's going, I put in my time.
Exhausted?
Yeah, I'm ready. I love you all, but I'm done.
Well, and if you look ahead in chapter 1, he does call them a burden.
Yeah.
You have been a burden. So you go, you know what? Taking charge of that many people could be.
Because I'm thinking King Hezekiah begged God for more years. Because he's like, Lord, if I die, this group will fall apart. And so the Lord gave him 15 more years. And I just
wasn't.
It unfortunately wasn't the best. But like, I just wonder if Moses was like, no.
Good. Pass it off. Joshua, yes, tag your
It's on you.
But with that, as we talk about Mount Sinai, you go, okay, that's where it started 40 years earlier. That's when, and if you go through our Exodus series that we did, we talk about how I love Exodus because you can break it down into God redeems, and then God covenants. Also, God can dwell, but all of that is based on memory. And that was our little way we present Exodus.
Good memory.
Thanks. That's because I came up with it. Genesis, we said, was foundations, Abraham's faith, and Abraham's family. Leviticus, I didn't have one for that, and I don't know what I have for Deuteronomy yet, other than it's just Moses's
Final
words. Final words, which is called the words in Hebrew. But in a way, Moses is going to keep referring back to, remember 40 years ago when we were at Mount Sinai. But the problem is Mount Sinai will never again be on the horizon. It's not like you're going to stand in the land of Israel and they're going to see it and go, oh yeah, remember what happened over there? That's, I don't know how far away.
Too far away.
It's an 11-day journey.
Yeah, too far away to see.
Right. So instead what you have is Mount Ebal and Mount Gerizim. Those are in a way going to become the memory holder for Mount Sinai.
Because I can go travel and see them.
You can travel and you can see them. So because one of the things, I think it was Habakkuk, where Moses, not Moses, but Habakkuk, the mountains were kind of those witnesses.
Yeah.
Was it Habakkuk?
It was Habakkuk.
Because the mountains had been there forever. And so in a way, again, you have mountains being the witnesses of, that's why this whole covenant ceremony in Deuteronomy takes place there. So now we have Mount Gerizim and Mount Ebal being the new witnesses. And every time you travel, you will see them. And so you'll have those reminders. Oh yeah, remember we're working towards this goal. Oh yeah, here's what Moses told us. Here's what we're supposed to be doing. And so, because every generation now you don't want it to keep sending the people back to Mount Sinai.
That would be quite the trip.
That's not the pilgrimage they're taking.
Yeah.
When they're taking a pilgrimage, they're going to Jerusalem.
Yeah.
And so as you see this, always remember the land is part of the story. It's almost like a character.
Yes.
It's that quiet, unseen character that until you're trained to look for, you don't really see it. So that's why I say, take out your maps, Google it. You know, if you can find images, because Dr. Parker was showing pictures, just like Erika talked about, the greenery versus the barrenness. If you've been to Israel, even better. And you're so blessed that you get to do that. But the land is going to add details into the story. It's not just a placeholder. It actually has characteristics and feelings and lifestyles that go with it. Because really, when you look at it, Genesis and Exodus have a lot of movement and pass a lot of time. And so we're going to see throughout Deuteronomy, Moses is constantly referring back to Genesis stories, Exodus stories. Leviticus comes up, stories in Numbers. And Numbers is all about that detailed account of their wandering, where they're learning to trust God. But Deuteronomy is just about one moment in time. Granted, it must be a long moment. Don't know how long it took Moses to say all this. I don't have it memorized to know how long it takes to speak it. But it's one moment and it's one place. But as you look at Deuteronomy, it's constantly looking back, but it's also now needs to be your foundation as you read the books of Joshua, Judges, Ruth, Samuel, and Kings. Because it's going to show you, Joshua's going to be, here's how they take the land. Here's what they're going to do when they go into the land. Do they take all the land? Judges, which Erika so wonderfully pointed out last spring, was they didn't do what they were supposed to do.
Yeah.
They did what so you can, as you read through this, go, oh, we saw that pop up in Judges. And Ruth is just a small story within the time frame of the Judges. And Samuel and Kings, okay, as they're trying now, working towards, we know Judges don't work. So then we're going to try this king idea, which actually gets mentioned in Deuteronomy. So you, in a way, have the people setting themselves up, going, one day we will have a king. Moses is saying, one day you'll have a king. Here's what your king needs to do. So watch then as you read through Samuel and Kings. How are they doing? Are they paying attention to Deuteronomy? Because what we no longer have, we started with Abraham, grew to Isaac, grew to Jacob, and then 12 boys. Those 12 boys turns into 12 tribes. And they're no longer to be tribes who are individual. And not that they were individual during their wandering, But now it's okay. It's really important to be united.
Yeah, because once you're on the land and you're settled down,
Mm-hmm.
the north and the south feel very different. The east and the west feel different. So how are you going to stay?
How do you keep united?
Yeah.
How do you keep tribes that go? It'd be very easy to fall into, well, we're of this tribe,
Right.
and forget we're all sons
Right.
of Israel. And so you're going to see they're in this. Dr. Parker called it like an airplane. They're not yet there.
At the airport is
They're
what
at the
you
airport.
said.
Yeah. They're done wandering, but they're not completely in and settled. So you have this big transition time. And so what Deuteronomy is going to do is the way Moses speaks it or lays it out, it's a covenant document. And it's very similar and written like other ancient Eastern covenant codes. Because God's saying, here's what you're going to do. And I can break it down super simple for you. It goes like this. If you obey, you get to live in the land I've given you, and you get to stay there, and life will be amazing. And if you disobey, you're going to be displaced, and there's going to be a lot of death. Well, truthfully, that's like the Garden of Eden. As long as Adam and Eve were obeying, life was good. Life was pleasant. They were living there. There was no problem. It's when they disobey, then you get displaced and death comes. And that's essentially Israel's story. When you obey, you stay. When you don't, the consequence is you're getting displaced. You'll get to come back again and we'll try over. So you just need to learn, obey. And as we go through this, you're almost going to have 3 different voices. You're going to have God's voice saying words. You're going to have Moses telling his story. And then you almost have this outside narrator. Because truthfully, this first chapter talking about Moses outside the land, and it's like,
Right. Who did this? Where's this come from?
right. And when Moses dies at the end, again, it's not like Moses is coming back and going, hey, I died.
Yeah.
So this is what we have. We're setting up Deuteronomy. But as you go through it, I want you looking at a map, but also realizing we're going to see who God's character is. See how he sets his people up to flourish. Dr. Parker said, this is God's greatest hints at how to flourish in life. And it's real simple. Obey or disobey. If you want to flourish, obey.
And all of us can appreciate and learn from that and go, that's true of anybody. Yes, 100% for the people of Israel, the nation of Israel. Like, please let them obey, Lord.
Right.
But even me today where I am.
And what can I learn about God? Is he gives out laws and you go, this doesn't make sense. Well, what does it reveal about his character?
Right.
That's going to be one of the things as we go through Deuteronomy to point out, here's what we see. Here's what we learn about God.
Right.
So that's it. Next week, we'll come back and we'll actually get into Deuteronomy chapter 1.
Well, that was a wonderful introduction, though, Ronnie. I think you set that up great.
I hope so.
Yeah. I feel like you can see the book. You can appreciate where this is coming from.
Right. And just feel for Moses of what it must be like.
Yeah. There's a bit of sad color there,
There is.
I think.
But a heaviness in a way.
Yeah. Maybe heavy more than sad. It's a heavy color you're bringing to the book. But we need that. I mean, isn't Deuteronomy the book Jesus quotes more than any other?
It is.
And like how little do we know it? But Jesus obviously thought it was incredibly important. So
Yeah, the fact that this is
probably-
when he quotes the most.
Yeah, we probably need to dive into it a bit more.
Yeah.
So
So that's it. Come back next week. Don't forget, as always, we're on social media. We would love for you to sign up for our newsletter that comes out every Monday morning.
you do a great job. That's all Veronica. So thank you.
Erika's busy. She has 5 kids. But so with that, join us and we'll talk to you next time.
Bye-bye.